Unlock your potential with a comprehensive suite of investing tools and expert education with GammaEdge. Start your free 14-day trial today.
Kind of trader I was, so relatively new, only about a year doing this. But I just trade intraday, and really just simply buying calls and puts. So, and for the most part, I'm trading SPY or one of a handful of the, liquid tickers. So I'm just trying to, I think we've talked a little bit about, going from zero GEX last week. We were, a couple of, I just didn't know if you guys had some thoughts and say this one tends to work well or has a higher probability or anything like that was just the idea.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, I can start. Came to the right place to ask the question because we got some intraday to know. So I will start with kind of the setups I look for, how I like to trade, because like you, I primarily trade intraday right now. I use futures as opposed to 0DT options. However, got to get the direction right both ways, So more experienced option traders specifically can better help you with how to execute via options. But just in terms of directional plays, I can help you. Then Michael can also jump in here in a second. We have good kind of portfolio strategies that can be used intraday, that being zero GEX to P-Trans. Both of these are levels that we produce. I can get you more documentation on those if you would like. And we also have P-Trans to plus GEX. That also can be a pretty fruitful trade throughout the session. But quickly on how I like to trade, I'm going to pump my own trading log. That should be helpful for you because you can go see kind of the specific trades I take intraday. I kind of annotate the signal, the entry, the exit. But long story short, what I like to do is first, in the morning, I like to figure out kind of what is market structure. So we talk about above and below spot price. So I want to know, are calls or puts dominating above and below spot price? So kind of as a loose rule of thumb, if puts are dominating above and below spot price, I tend to have more of a bearish bias in a vacuum. And the opposite is true of if calls are dominating above and below spot price, I tend to be more bullish in a vacuum. Then I like to look at GEX ratio. Where's the GEX ratio? Are we relative to its history? Are we extended one way or another? Kind of middle of the range. And then most importantly, to me, intraday trading is the transition zone. So we have the GammaEdge transition zone, which is defined as the bottom of the transition zone is negative transition, meaning that strike and all strikes below that are negative GEX. Then we have positive transition zone, which is that strike and all strikes above are positive GEX. And recently, we've also introduced the delta transition zone, which ideally that syncs up with the gamma transition zone. So if I am bullish, what I want to look for is price above positive transition, because just through observation and the back testing and whatnot, best longs are taken above positive transition, because when you're in the middle transition zone, dealers are less inclined to do something because that's kind of more of a low pressure zone. Chop zone is how I like to think about it. So as a simple intraday trade, you could look for, say you get kind of a gap up in the morning, look for a pullback to positive transition, assuming tick is still constructed for the upside. Then you could look for a play off P-Trans to either prior high of day. You could look at a move to plus GEX. So that is just a very simple kind of bread and butter trade that I look for. Same thing to the downside. You could get a push lower. I'm trying to think today. I'm looking at to the downside, not to the upside. Yeah, I mean that's still just a level trade at the end of the day. But anyways, to the downside today. So you can see on my trade log, I took one trade today. It was a short on the Russell. The reason I took a short on the Russell is because 43.75 was a key SPX level today. That was a transition level. I'm pretty sure. Let me look at my notebook really quick. I had 43.75, 43.80 were key levels. Yeah, that was negative transition on the 0DT expiration. And so I saw SPX starting to waterfall off that. And then a setup that I have is a lower high setup within kind of a intraday downtrend, which is textbook what the Russell was today. So I took a short off that down to low of the day. The reason I did that is because we lost transition on SPX. Tick was kind of starting to roll over a little bit, and that was just a great risk reward trade. So it worked out in my favor. So I'm gonna get off the mic here, but just to recap, what I look for is really just kind of playing outside of the transition zone, but near the transition zone, and then trading kind of in the direction of kind of who is dominating the environment.